Hey, it's Chris. Today we are pulling out some of our parsnips. This is the first time I've ever grown parsnips. I'm not quite sure what to expect with this first digging that we're going to do of these plants, but I'm excited. Parsnips are one of my favorite root vegetables. I usually substitute it in soups and things like that for celery. Not a huge fan of celery that you get at the grocery store. I have heard, though, the celery that you grow yourself is very good, so maybe that's something else I have to try next year. So parsnips are in the carrot family, and the culture that they require is very similar to carrots. In fact, when we sowed this seed, I was very happy to get the germination that we did, because most literature I've read says that parsnip germination is very poor. Usually you have to sow them pretty heavy, and then you thin it out about every 2 to 4 inches. For us here, we have a drip irrigation system, which we had on a timer, and so we were able to keep the soil routinely wet, and so that was really probably the best thing that we could do for our germination of our parsnip seed. Parsnip is a very long season crop. Most seed packets I read suggest anywhere from 100 to 120 days from seeding to harvest. And the other really nice thing about parsnip, though, even though it's a long season, is that it can store overwinter in the ground, just like carrots do. So when it comes to our parsnip here, what we're going to do is we're going to probably pull a couple out just to see what we have in the ground right now, and then we're going to pretty much harvest them throughout the winter months. And really the sweet spot, no pun intended, timing for harvesting parsnips is actually early spring, before any of the new growth appears. And because that is the time when the carbohydrates have converted almost fully to sugars in the root system, and you have a really sweet underground vegetable that we can use right here. But once spring hits, once we see growth resume in this plant, the roots then become bitter. They become kind of fibrous-y, not tasty. We are growing parsnips here in the high tunnel. It was an experiment to maybe try to push the season a little bit more, to try to get more growth through the year. I do expect, though, that once we get our first hard frost, we've already had a hard frost. Outside, everything has been killed off. That's a summer annual. But once the tunnel experiences a good frost, I imagine all of the green growth here at the parsnips is going to die back to the ground, and that's when we are going to be able to monitor for any new growth that might occur before next spring, and we'll know to get the plants out. When it came to issues like fertility and weed control, irrigation wasn't really a huge problem with parsnips. They put on a decent amount of growth as we made it through springtime, and then once we were in summer, the entire soil area here was shaded, it was covered, and so no weed competition, didn't have any issues in terms of irrigation. The shaded soil held more moisture, and no problems with insects at all with this crop. And so really pleased, at least with growing it this year. But now comes the end-all be-all moment of harvesting them and see if we actually wound up growing anything underneath the soil. One thing that I forgot to mention is that when you're harvesting this plant, it's always a good idea to wear long sleeves and gloves. And this is because parsnip is related to the wild parsnip, one of the hazardous weeds that people have encountered, has made headlines recently, of a plant that blisters skin, but this plant is not as extreme happens, but some people do have more sensitive skin than others, and they do react to this, so always a good idea, wear long sleeves, wear gloves when you're harvesting parsnips. Alright, so I am really pleased with the harvest that we got, so check out this parsnip right here, really exciting. So what we do to store these is we're just going to cut them off about right here. You don't want to leave the greens on, because that will rob a lot of flavor nutrients in the root as you store these, and these can store for months. You want to store them in the refrigerator and put them in the high humidity bin, and so that they'll keep for months. And so I just harvested a couple. We're going to make chicken noodle soup tonight, and in place of the celery, we're going to have parsnips. It's going to be delicious. Thanks for watching.